Welcome everyone. So in this video I'm going to do a complete walkthrough of VisionKeys. I'm going to show you what all it's capable of, how to use it, and hopefully answer any questions you might have, showing how it can potentially benefit you as a trading tool. The version I'm using in this demo is 1.0.2. So I will note that 1.1 beta is about to be released, and which means shortly after that the production version will also be released. So depending on when you see this video, things might look a little different than they do here. Small things, really maybe the appearance of some buttons or things have changed of how you do various actions, but overall everything you see here as far as the capability side will all be in the new version. The newer version will just obviously have more to it and have more streamlined changes as far as how you can accomplish some tasks. With that said, before we get started, I am testing this setup for the first time, so please let me know if the audio or video could use improvement. I'm using a wireless feed from the camera on the Stream Deck to the capture device, but so far the latency seems minimal, so hopefully everything stays smooth and we can get through this without any issues. Okay, so if you haven't seen VisionKeys before, your initial question is probably, what is VisionKeys? So VisionKeys is basically an application that its goal is to streamline your trade actions in a very simplistic and intuitive manner. The goal for the device and the trading tool is to make trading simple and fast. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're, depending on how you do things, your typical workflow of opening a position in MetaTrader, maybe you open the position and then you go in and you manually set your targets, your TP and your stop, and depending on how you manage to perform those steps or who you are, there's a certain amount of time that's required to take those steps. So what VisionKeys does is it takes the user settings as well as its automations and it's able to turn those actions into something that happens very quick and in a single key press. Now, it's often assumed when people see an image of it that it is just a set of hotkeys with static images. However, if you've been paying attention to this feed so far, you'll see the symbol in the very middle is actually updating live, and that's a hint right away that this is more than just hotkeys. So you're seeing EU as the selected symbol, the value, and the spread changing. The spread is what you see at the bottom in the brackets, and it's all changing in real time. So it is not a set of hotkeys. Hotkeys, if you don't know what those are, they're basically keyboard shortcuts. You can plug in another device or use your keyboard with your computer and set hotkeys to trigger certain actions. So MetaTrader, for example, has, you can go online and find countless scripts that perform various trade actions and add them into MetaTrader. Then you can right click on those and set them as a hotkey. And then when you assign a hotkey, you can actually trigger those trade actions, whether it's open a position, close a position, etc. Now the biggest limitation with those, which is where it becomes kind of annoying, is you must have MetaTrader in focus and you must have the chart in focus that you're wanting to perform the action on. Otherwise, if you are looking at a TradingView chart or in your email and you see something on your phone and you want to just hit the shortcut and get a position in quickly, it's not going to work. So that's the biggest limitation with those, and once you start to use that method, it'll become apparent. And that the great thing is with VisionKeys is none of those limitations apply, because again, it is not a set of hotkeys. VisionKeys has what shortcuts and hotkeys do not have, which is a window of the data from MetaTrader. So as you're seeing right now, it is getting data in real time from MetaTrader, often sub-millisecond, so you can literally use the Stream Deck to do a majority of what you need to do. And when you get used to how it operates, often you'll find yourself never bringing MetaTrader up. You do have to have it open, obviously, because that's how it gets its data, but it can stay minimized and it does not affect the Stream Deck or VisionKeys at all. This is the home screen, and as you can see, you have your buy and sell buttons, you have a runner buy and sell, you have the order size and volume, you have the symbol with its value and spread updating in real time. You also have an account key in the bottom left, which shows your balance and equity and the account name or the ID. You can give it a nickname in the app, which I'll show you later. Then you have an open positions key, broadcast, which is a add-on feature. It's not for everybody, but it's super powerful for those that need it. We'll go over that as well. And then I'll actually make a dedicated video on broadcast because there's a lot to show with it. Then we have the floating P&L. So if you have any open positions, it would be showing you with a color-coded background your live floating P&L. And we'll get to see that in action once we open test positions. And then we have lock, and lock is just a way of bringing up a lock screen to prevent anyone, if you walk away from your desk or if you have kids like me and they walk up and see the Stream Deck and they decide to start pushing order buttons, it'll obviously lock the screen, so no one can do that. As long as you lock your computer screen, they cannot get into the app and figure out how to set that lock code. So just make sure if you are using or trading with the device at a desk that's around other people, to, if you happen to get up, just lock your screen and secure it. All right, so we'll kind of zoom out and I'll show you the underlying screens as well, but we're going to start here on the home screen. And the reason I'm going to show the underlying screens first is because I want to open the test positions last, so that can transition into the open positions and the position management. Okay, so let's kind of, I'm going to bundle these since these are short. So we'll go ahead and let's go over just the lock first. And so this is the lock screen. And once you hit it, you're at a keypad entry, and if you enter your key code correctly, it'll drop you back to the home screen. So if you were to enable it incorrectly, you'll see it flash red and failed, and then it lets you retry. There's no limit to the retries, but like I said, just make sure that your computer is also locked so no one can open the application and modify the settings. All right, the second one would be the account. So here we have the account ID. That's the account number you'll have in MetaTrader, the balance, and the equity. If I long press here, it takes me to an account selection screen. So VisionKeys, there's really no limit. It can sync multiple accounts at one time, and then you have an active one, which is what you're viewing when you press it, and where all your trade actions are sending. Okay, so for example, if you had multiple instances of MT5 or MT4 with different brokers up, and you had them connected with VisionKeys, you would see those accounts across these keys. And the active one would be highlighted green, so you'd be able to change easily. Same thing with if you're running MT5 and MT4, so maybe you have just those two from different brokers, you will still be able to see both of those accounts syncing and swapping between them. So it makes it as a quick way to jump into an account. Now there is no way to log into multiple accounts on one instance of MetaTrader. That's not possible. But if you have multiple instances, VisionKeys can handle that without issue. All right, the next thing will be pending orders. So you see we have the sell and the buy at the very top row. Those open market orders. If you wanted to open a pending order, you would long press on one of these. So now you see I'm in an entry screen and I have a sell limit. I can toggle that between sell limit and sell stop. I can input my data, shows my input. That also works as a backspace. Then I can submit. And back obviously goes back to the home screen. That's for our new users that kind of walk through a guide of the long press keys. but sometimes that does get missed. So the version that I've talked about that's coming around the corner, 1.1, that beta, it actually introduces a corner drawing in the keys that support a long press. So again, if you miss the manual, it'll give you a clear indication that that key has a long press action or a long press screen beyond it. All right, so now I'll show you the buy side as well. Same thing. It's just on the buy side. So buy limit, buy stop, and back on the home screen. The other keys that we'll go through real fast before we open the test positions will be the order size. So you have it right here, and the minus and the plus next to it will adjust those. A single press adjusts a 0.01 amount, and a long press will adjust 0.1. And the long press, you can kind of see when I long press the key, the background slowly grows white. Once that white is maxed out, that's the indication that you've held long enough to trigger that long press action. All right, and so let's go back up here. I'll get this back to normal. And below that, we have the symbol key. And so you can see this is updating the price and the spread in real time. And these toggle through my symbols list. And if you look above on the screen right now, above the Stream Deck feed, that market watch list, that's where we're obtaining the symbols. So anything you add in that market watch list will appear in the list for VisionKeys. Okay, so single toggles through the list with a single press, but we also have long presses. So if you long press here, it'll jump me all the way to the bottom of the list. If I long press here, it'll jump me all the way to the top. And it's very snappy. So even on this delay with this wireless feed, you can see how quick it is. All right, so that covers the home screen and the underlying screens. Well, hold on, almost forgot. You've probably been asking immediately, what is a runner sell and what is a runner buy? These are preset keys, so this is one of the presets that we have at the moment. It's the only one at the moment. There will be more coming, so eventually you will be able to long press those and change your presets. But what a preset is think of them as built-in strategies that are automated. So in this case, a runner is any position that can be partially closed. And what it does is when you open that position, it will have a target that it's looking for. And when it hits that target, it'll partially close the position. It will set a break-even stop. And then it will either target to close at a second target, or you can manually manage it. It's however you configure the settings for it. But that's just one of the automations with the strategies that we're kind of baking in, so VisionKeys can actually manage some strategies for you. And the cool thing, which you'll see later, is when you do put up a runner sell or runner buy, it'll draw a orange line on your MetaTrader chart showing where that target one is, and that's where it's going to close that partial percentage. Okay, one last thing on the home screen that I almost forgot, which is actually a nifty little feature. The symbol key that's showing the data, it actually does have a press action. So if you're looking at MetaTrader right now, let's go ahead and we'll just open AUD USD. So you'll see in my chart tabs that I do not have AUD open on any tabs. So if I press this key, it will automatically open that chart in MetaTrader for me. So hit it, and there we are, just like that. And if the chart is already open on another tab, it'll actually navigate to that tab for you. So just a pretty cool little handy trick to quickly get to the chart by just pressing the symbol key. Okay, let's touch on the broadcast real fast, since that is still part of the home screen. And again, this will have a dedicated video to actually go into the other side of broadcast, showing you the action result that people will see. But what broadcast is I kind of mentioned earlier, it's an add-on. It's not going to be for everybody. It's more for people that share their trade actions with the community. It becomes an automated assistant. So what happens is if you go into broadcast, you can set up multiple endpoints, one or more, These go to Discord channels at the moment. There will be more coming, such as Telegram, etc. And you set up these endpoints. These are basically channels in a Discord server, and you can set a disclaimer. You can give yourself your alias, and what it does is every trade action you perform, it will compile that into a nice, pretty format, and it will post automatically to those channels. So even if those channels are on multiple different servers, you will be able to go in here and enable all the ones that you want to enable. And then when you go back, broadcast is enabled. That's kind of showing you that whenever you open a buy, sell, you change a stop loss, take profit, you change a position size, you anything you do, you start a trail, set a break even stop, that will immediately, when you take those actions, it's going to one by one notify all of those endpoints. So you're able to automatically, you just trade, you do nothing else, and it becomes your assistant posting exactly what you did. And the goal for this is hopefully to also build transparency. I don't want to say everybody does it, but there are cases where some people will only post or share their good actions, and the idea here is you just trade, and hopefully that keeps your focus on trading, and it's automating the notification side, and hopefully everybody will be honest and just let it do its job instead of controlling what people see and not showing them the bad parts. Let's open some test positions and see all these actions kind of play out in real time. So right now we are on EU. We have an order size of 1.0, and we are we'll start with a sell. So we'll hit a sell, and you'll see we instantly saw that reflected on our screen in MetaTrader. And then based on my setting right now, there is a setting in the app to automatically load the position management screen, or you can stay at the home screen. But based on that setting, mine automatically went to the position management screen once it opened that. So we'll come back to this screen later, but for right now, let's go back, and now we'll see various parts of the data that we were talking about earlier. We see the floating P&L. It's showing that in real time, and it's also color coded, and it's showing blue since that's my in profit color scheme. Color schemes are something coming in this 1.1 update as well, so you'll actually be able to change the color scheme for everything. As well, you'll see the equity is updating at the same time, so we're seeing that account status update. So showing that real-time data start benefiting even here at the home screen, so you get a high-level view of your account from here. And then in the open position screen, we see that we have that one position we open, and it's live tracking it. So we'll come back to the open position screen. Let's go ahead and open up a couple more positions. So we'll do another sell, and then go back, and we'll do a buy. So now we have 3 positions open, and this is where that setting off would have been handy, because I could have just opened the sells and then opened the buy without leaving this screen. Okay, so now that we have those open, let's step up to the open positions screen. And here we see all 3 of our positions. Sorry, I'm kind of centering the deck a little bit. And let's start with those position keys. So at the top, you see that long number. That is the ticket or the order ID that your broker assigns to it. And that's one way that you can match it up in MetaTrader. So kind of if you look at the MetaTrader side of the video output, you see there's a ticket row. It's the second row next to the symbol. That is the exact ticket ID that is for that position. Below that, you have the symbol name that the position is for, and then below that, you have the order size for that position, and then you have the profit and loss for that position. And as you can see, it will automatically color code just like the floating P&L key does. So the ones in profit are blue, and the ones in loss are red. Below that, before I get ahead of myself, if you had more than 10 positions open, this would show page 1 of 2 or 1 of however many, and then you can navigate those pages with these keys. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll go over the quick actions. So we have quick actions right now. I have this on close in profit. If you press this, it brings you to a selection screen, and this will kind of trip people up a little bit. A lot of times when people first start using this, they think once you press one of these keys it makes that action, but that's not the case. It just selects that as a quick action. So if I swap to close all, you'll see it now shows quick action, close all. And let's go back to in profit. So a single press gets you to that selection screen, and it'll make sense why, because a single press on this action by mistake will immediately affect all your open positions. Learn that quickly on. You can ask me how. It was not fun to change this to a long press. So a long press will actually perform that action. So if I long press right now, it should close these two positions that are in profit. Let's go ahead and do it. And there we go. We saw it instantly close those positions in MetaTrader, and it instantly reflected that change in VisionKeys. So we're left with the one position that had no profit. So we'll go ahead from here and we'll actually press that key, and we're now in the position management screen. On the position management screen, this is the screen you see whenever you are navigated down or drilled down to a single position. In the middle row, we have kind of the status column. We'll still have a key that's live tracking that position. So it'll show you the profit and loss in real time, as well as the volume for that position. And in some cases, that ticket number will change. So MetaTrader 4, for example, when you modify a position, let's say you partially close it, it actually will generate a new ticket ID, versus MetaTrader 5, it'll maintain that same ticket ID. So that's usually the only time you'll see that change is in MetaTrader 4 when you make volume changes. Okay, and then we have the stop loss that's being tracked in real time and the take profit. So if I were to, let me actually go and open the tab for this position. If I were to go in here and manually drag this stop loss, you'll see that value in the stop loss key change. So let's drag it here, and you saw that change directly on the Stream Deck. Do the same thing for TP, we saw that change. So those are status keys in this current version. The 1.1 beta that's about to kick in actually enables a long press action for these, where you can get a keypad style entry and manually set those. So you can do that all directly from the Stream Deck without having to do the click and drag in MetaTrader or manually input it in MetaTrader. The bumps next to this status row, we have the stop loss bumps and the take profit bumps. Those are looking at my settings, which you see the 10, that's currently set to 10 points or pips, and that will quickly bump the targets out that much. So right now we see those blue lines. So the TP, if I hit this, it's going to bump that line down. We saw that bump down, and we also saw it update that status. I'll bump it back up with that press, and there we go. Same thing with stop loss. I can push it out further with plus, and then I can bring it back with minus. So that bumps it. It's a quick way to manage increments based on your settings of your targets. Okay. And then we have the close row. We have close 50%, close 75%, and then close 100%. These in the next update as well, you'll be able, these two partial closes, 50 and 75, you'll be able to adjust those percentages to whatever you want. But for right now, we'll go ahead and we'll do a test close 50. So we're at a 1.0 on the volume, close 50. We saw the change in MetaTrader. We see the change instantly reflected here as well. It's now a 0.5. Now with some brokers, like so the close 75, right now that would actually give us an error in this case, because the broker's going to complain that it's an invalid volume. They will at times, depending on the broker as well, go ahead and automatically round for you. So for example, if you were going to close 50% of a position that could not be closed to a minimum volume, so let's say this was currently was a 0.01 size position and I hit close 50%, there's various brokers that will just say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just close the whole position. So that's something you'll learn based on your broker in using this, that you'll learn how it reacts. So as usual, we recommend when you first get on this with a new broker, go ahead and utilize a demo account, explore everything so you can see how the broker handles certain actions, and that'll make you set and ready to go and comfortable for your live account. The other options here, we have the Start Trail, which when I press this, it'll highlight green, my SL updated based on the trail settings that I have. And we already saw that SL move a couple times. I don't know if you're paying attention to the chart screen. So that will automatically change, and then if you want to turn the trail back off, you can hit it again and it's no longer highlighted. And instead of removing that trailing stop, it will just leave that stop loss where it was when you turned it off. Again, that's a safety measure. A stop is always there, so if you were to walk away from your computer for the night and you had the trail off, the last thing we want to do is completely remove the stop loss, because that will save your account. So just keep that in mind. When you turn off the trail, it just leaves the stop exactly where it was when you turned it off. So it's up to you from that point to bump it out, bump it down, whatever, and manage it. Okay. From there, the other differences in this screen will be based on a runner position. You'll see some options here, and so we will go over that next. So let's go ahead and we will go back to the home screen, and we are going to open some runners. Before we do the runner screens, I almost forgot the close 100%. Let's see what happens when I do that. So we'll go ahead and hit close 100%. We saw the position leave MetaTrader and it dropped me back to the open position screen. So if I had multiple positions open, I'd be ready to go into another position. So that's close 100%. Now we can go and we'll go back to the home screen and open some runners. Alright, back at the home screen, let's go ahead and open some runners. Now, I do not recall what my settings are, so we'll see where the targets are set, but we're just going to go with it. So right now, we're on EU. We see that chart is visible in MetaTrader as well. So let's go ahead and hit a runner sell. So a couple things you notice right away. We see our target lines on the MetaTrader chart, and we also see the orange line. So the orange line is where that target 1 is, that it's going to target the partial close. And that TP line, the normal TP line in MetaTrader, is actually where it will close 100% of the position. If I had it set to where I just wanted it to close partial at the orange line and I was going to manually manage the closure from there, we would not see the TP line, we would just see the orange line. And then on the position management screen, it knows that we are running a runner strategy. So this key is kind of giving us information saying, based on my settings, I'm going to take 50% at that value. Okay, and it's going to then also set the break-even stop. So if we get to the orange line, my SL line is going to go break even, and then I'm going to target that TP line. So you'll notice a couple things. It tries to get you to respect the strategy. So right now the partial close keys are disabled. And if I press those, it will do nothing. And that's because the runner strategy is in effect. And in order for you to do that, you would have to long press to remove this as a runner. And at that point, it just converts it. It decides, okay, I'm no longer monitoring this as a runner strategy. I'm just going to convert this as a normal position. So if we do that, here we go. We immediately see that. And when that position closes, that orange line will automatically clean itself up as well. So in fact, we can go ahead and close now, and then it cleans itself up. So that's how the runner sell works. Let's go ahead and runner buy, same thing, just so you can see. It's on the flip side, the TP is on the top side, we have the orange line, and yeah, there we go. So that's how a runner works. So VisionKeys will monitor reaching that value here. It will close 50%, set a break-even stop, and then it will target that total take profit for closing the whole position for you. So in a single press, I've automated a strategy. I can just sit here and watch this play out if I wanted to where it's going to partially close at my initial target, and then it will either stop out at break even, or everything goes my way, I'll hit that final target to close the whole position, all in a single key press. Okay, so now we're going to explore the application side, which is the desktop app for VisionKeys. And we'll go into the settings, and then I'll actually show you how you get VisionKeys running from the very bottom. So let's go ahead. So the desktop app, this is version 1.0.2, which I mentioned earlier. And there's various things that I will mention about the changes in the upcoming version, depending on when you see this. But the desktop app, it supports Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So no matter what you're on, you can run VisionKeys. MetaTrader, obviously you have to have installed for everything to work, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to get its data. So let's go ahead, and right now you see at the main part of the application, I've already started it, so we're running. So you're still seeing my Stream Deck feed as well as the chart in the background from the last clip. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go to settings, and here's the initial screen. So right now I'm at the trade, but we're going to jump up to general first. So general is where you'd input a license key, and then you have our support buttons to contact support, or if we're working with you, we may have you submit support logs and updates. You can manually check for updates by hitting this button. Right now there's no update available. Or what it actually does is each time you start the application, it'll automatically check as well and notify you if there's any update. And then you can enroll in beta releases by checking this box. So then we can go over to the device side, and here's where we set that lock code I mentioned, showing you earlier. We can adjust the device brightness. So right now, if I slide this slider, you'll see the screen on the Stream Deck get dimmer. And then we can hit get device info, and that will give us the serial number, the firmware version, and anything else that may populate from the device. Let's go back to general, and we'll go to trade. So here's the optional trade settings. This expands a little bit in this next version, but currently in this version we're previewing, we have the option to go to the position management after opening an order. This is what I was showing you earlier. When you were seeing me open a sell and buy position, it would automatically load this position management screen you see on the Stream Deck right now. If I turn that off, it would open the position. We would see the Vision logo flash as success, or if it could not open it, it would show you an error or a reason why, and it would keep you on the home screen. Okay, I like that setting enabled. Then we have the default order volume. You can set that based on, how you typically, the size you typically open based on your account. We are also changing in the upcoming version, we're testing, changing how you change the volume size. So instead of the press and the long presses, to hopefully make things a little faster, you can press the volume and actually get a keypad entry, and that will allow you to enter a specific size in one go. And then we'll have the partial closes as well in this setting. But again, I'll touch on these things, but I'll do another video whenever that version comes out. So here's where we adjust the trade settings. So everything's based down to the account level. So if I hit account, I will see the accounts that I have synced, and I think this is the account I have selected now. I can then assign it a nickname. So let's go back over here. Yes, that's 249. So let's just say I want to call this MT5. We saw that update in real time, and so if I go in here, we see it's showing MT5. All right. Then we have target type. Target type, we have point and pip based or USD based. So point and pip based, if you know what points and pips are, that's obvious to you. USD based, what that does is that will tell MetaTrader to do a calculation Actually, let's get to the settings first. So then that'll make more sense. So order types. So we have standard order types, which are like your market, sell, and buy, as well as your pending orders. Anything you open from the buttons or the pending sell limit, sell stop, buy side, etc. will be under the standard orders. So here we have, so my standard order, this tells the VisionKeys and MetaTrader that when I open a market buy or sell, for example, it will open with a 20 pip stop loss, 20 take profit, and I do not want a trailing stop on those orders. If I wanted a trailing stop, I would input the data here. That will override the stop loss, and then automatically that position will start trailing the second it is opened. Okay, so if you don't want trailing stop enabled by default, make sure it's 0. And so here's where I will explain the other target types. So let's say I set this to USD based. USD based I would then treat these values here as like $20, $20, and $0. So that will perform a calculation on the MetaTrader side to identify the target and get it to a USD base as close as possible. It's usually right there on it, and sometimes will be maybe a few cents off. But based on your account and your targets, your desired target, it will try to find that target to get you that exact profit of $20. Okay, and again, it won't be exact all the time. It'll usually be pretty close, but since things are moving so fast with the data, well, with the market, so that's just a simplistic way for new traders that do not understand points or pips. They can set USD based and then just know, okay, when I open a position, I want $40 profit and I want a $40 stop loss. I'm willing to risk that. All right. So then the next order type we have is the first preset, which is the only one we talked about for the moment, and that's the runner. So inside runner, we have the runner stop loss, the runner TP1, that's where it'll do that partial close. The TP2, that's where it will completely close the position. So if we go in here now, we're going to see we're getting pretty close to where that last runner was. And then a 0 on the trailing stop, because I do not want my runners to start with a trail. If I had this to something, it would override the SL and it would start trailing. And then we have runner close at TP1, that's the percentage. So this is telling us that when we hit that target 20 pips, it's going to close 50% of the position and then continue on catching up. So that's how that is. And then the bumps are the TP plus, the TP minus, the SL plus, SL minus, and the start trail. So this is where we control those. So like right now, if I go in and I change this to 15, you'll see instantly on the key, if you watch it, it instantly changes with me. So that's another cool thing, is everything you do, excuse that loud pop, everything you do will reflect on the deck in real time. All right. So let's go next to the customize. This is currently not available in this screen, so it'll kick you back to the general. Customize on this next update is a full list. You can manually go in and adjust the color scheme for every button type. You can also reset the defaults and hit a random button if you want to have fun and randomly generate a bunch of colors. And then we'll also add in import and export options as that grows in popularity. That way, if people have a color scheme that others really like, they can easily share them amongst each other. And then broadcast, that's the next setting. Here's where we edit those endpoints where I talked about. And again, we'll go further into this on a dedicated video about broadcasting, since it doesn't apply to everyone.